You guys are in for a treat today, all the way from Chicago. Miss G, otherwise known as Lady X. She is a Reiki healer, a dancer, a yogi, and ended a tumultuous marriage in 2014, which led her to start a secret blog, dearhusband.org, which she'll share how she expressed everything she couldn't express in person. And then this led to dearlifetraveler.com. I would love to read more about that. She writes about mental health and uses travel. I have a strong passion for traveling, which COVID kind of messed up, right? Uses travel as a form of therapy to help encourage emotional balance. And today she's here to show us, parents, aunts, uncles, teachers, grandparents, whoever interacts with children of all ages, how do we teach them to release negative energy when sometimes we're just talking, I don't even realize I'm releasing negative energy. I think I'm, expressing life lessons or words of wisdom, but I'm really releasing negative energy subconsciously, right?
Yep. So, hmm. So here's the thing with me. Like, I don't have children, but I've been a dance educator for close to 20 years. And I've worked with kids from like ages 1.5 in dance all the way to adult.
Wow.
So yeah. So I've gotten my experience working with kids that way, or just being around children and like learning about their psychology and how to actually reach them effectively. And also I became an aunt when I was 3.5.
Oh my gosh.
And
You started young.
I have 13 nieces and nephews, and I helped raise some of them. So kids have always been in my life. And maybe that's why I was like, I don't know if I want kids in my house because I have them already all around me. But so like one of the ways actually that I like to encourage kids to express or to just release energy, it has been through dance and movement. um Yoga classes, I teach yoga classes for kids, and also dance classes for kids. And I've always used those creative tools to help them kind of like find their own like language. Because to me, I always tell them like movement, that's just another language, so like this is where you can actually talk and say the things you really want to say. um when kids are young, sometimes when they don't want their parents to know or whatever, they kind of create like a secret language, right? Gibberish or whatever, things like that, like just little ways for them to communicate with each other so that they have their safe space. So
Mhm.
I like to introduce movement like that for kids, to kind of be like encourage them to be like, this could be your secret language, like this is where you can release anything you want to release, and when you're here in the room with me, or when you're in class with me, like let's not let's not invite those negative emotions to stay with us while we're learning something new. Like let's maybe put that on pause, learn something, right? Learn a new technique. That way when it's time to process those emotions, like now you have a new way to do it,
So do
so
you
like
ever come in with I'm sure you have kids who walk in and they're filled with anger
oh
or
yeah.
resentment or maybe even depression, and they're forced to come to class. They want to, and yet because of whatever's going on, how do you deal with that?
I've always been like, my classes were always like therapy. It was always like, I want to teach you something. I want to change your life. I don't want to just teach you an 8 count of dance moves. I want to actually teach you life lessons that you're going to take with you throughout your life.
Wow.
So so I would always talk to them. I never, it was never like it's time to dance, no talking to me or whatever. There would be a lot of students that sometimes they would come up to me before class and they would want to tell me something, and I would listen to them, and I would give them, the best advice that I could at the time, for them to at least be able to stay in the moment, to be like, I'm sorry that you're going through this, but right now we're in dance class, and this is the place where you don't have to think about it just for the hour, or maybe you don't have to carry that, and you can just breathe, breathe through it, or just pause the brain for a moment so you can focus on this, and maybe that'll help elevate your mood, you know, things like that. I've had like young students that will come and they would be bullied at school. So it would show up in class, because then when I'm telling them, okay, we're learning this new dance move and it's hard, and they immediately shut down. I can't do it. I can't do it. It's too hard. I can't. And you know, normally like you would get annoyed at something like that, you know. As an educator, you're just gonna get annoyed, like, oh my god, like, you stop being a brat, right? But I would try to look at the root and just be like, okay, why? So this was my number one question when they say, I don't like this dance move, or I don't like this dance, or whatever. I'd be like, why don't you like it? And then they would just think, and I'm like, do you not like it because it's hard? And then most of the times it was, yes, I don't like it because it's hard. And I was like, well, why don't you like to do hard stuff? Like, why does that scare you away from that? And so I would start asking those type of questions, and then I would slowly but surely I would get the answer. Oh, because you know, I just could never do that, and it makes me feel bad, or whatever. Or this one girl, I remember I had this one girl, and she just blurted out one time. She's like, I'm not, what did she say? It was like we were doing some dance moves across the floor, and I just out of nowhere, because it was hard for her. She like, I'm not ugly, okay? I'm not ugly. And I was like, I just stopped for a moment, and I was like, we're gonna talk about this right now.
Yeah.
Conversation. I even invited everybody else to kind of be like a source of support for her. And that's when I found out that she was being severely bullied at school, and people would call her stupid and things like that. So that's where I started to strengthen her by not allowing her to quit. And I would always tell her, I'm not gonna quit on you unless you quit on me. And even then, I'm probably still not gonna quit. So as long as you don't quit, I'm here with you. And it doesn't matter how long it takes you to get this move. I don't care if it takes you a whole month. I don't care. All I care is that you try. And as long as you try, trust me, you're gonna get better. It's gonna happen. Like, there's no way that you're not gonna get this if you just keep trying. But I'm not giving up on you. And so I just would be that, like, that wall for her in class. And anytime she would start with her little I'm like, we're not quitting. We're not quitting, because we can do this. She would try that, especially, you know how kids change in front of their parents, right?
Yes.
All of a sudden they get more bratty, or they don't want to listen,
Yeah.
or things
Yeah.
like that. I would stand firm, and she would be in front of her mom saying, I don't want to do this, or this is blah blah blah. And I would look at her dead in her eyes, and I'd be like, we're not gonna quit. Okay, we're gonna get this. We're gonna do it really slow. Come on. And then we would just keep going. And by the end of like that whole school year,
You got it.
it completely transformed, where she was not questioning me anymore. She would be like, oh, this is hard, but she that was as far as it would get. Like, she would just continue to go. So that, to me, was like just one more confirmation that something so simple, such as a dance class, you can use that as an opportunity.
That's a huge life lesson. But I remember someone told me, approach it with curiosity. If someone says, this is stupid, I don't know why we have to do that. And it never dawned on me to say, why? Right. And
Why?
a lot of times it's like, because we're never going to do this in real life. When am I going to know this formula in real life? But I guess the lesson is, if you want to go to the next grade, if you want to graduate from high school, there's a lot of stuff in life that we don't want to do.
Right. But I think is, knowledge is power. Just the more you know,
Knowledge is power. Because
you
I
know,
have a lot of sixth graders who say,
something
I think we should never continue school after sixth grade. You think?
else.
Can you share your background, dear thief, and how it
Yeah.
came to be, Lady X?
So this is one of my letters. I write letters on my blog for emotional release. Um, with kids and stuff, I haven't introduced this because I'm a performance artist. But this was more of like a personal thing for me, to like just another way, because I was already releasing through dance, but then just because it's a business for me, it kind of lost a little bit of that therapeutic effect for me. Or maybe just because I've been doing it for so long, I was like, I
Mm-hmm.
need outlet.
Another
So
outlet.
Yeah, so writing became a thing for me. Um, and this particular letter um, was about a relationship that I had, and I felt like this person took advantage of me, um, maybe unknowingly. He thought that he was doing something right, but it ended up backfiring, and it just was not like it turned it just it almost it soured the relationship almost immediately. So I had to talk about it because I felt almost like in part I was mad not just at him, but I was mad at myself because I was like, why why would you put yourself in this situation, knowing that there was a potential for you to get hurt and then sour this relationship that was supposed to remain intact. So this is just an excerpt from that letter. But yeah, like my letters are not just to people, they're also to things, bad habits, mental imbalances. I talk to my depression, I speak to my anxiety, I talk to my personality traits. I do still from time to time speak to like relationships, things like that. But yeah, I created Lady X because I just wanted to have like a safe bubble.
Hmm.
Everybody knows me as Miss G. I'm a performance artist, so like that is the name everybody knows. No one even knows, or if I mean, my close friends will know my actual name, but no one uses it. So if you see Miss G and then attached to that, I almost feel like I would have to be filtered.
Hmm.
So I created Lady X so that I could just speak and just write. So yeah.
So is that the dearlifetraveler.com, or is that
Yeah.
the
Yeah, that's dearlifetraveler.com. Dearlifetraveler.com is a blog where I just speak on my take on mental health, and just I use my personal experiences to convey messages that might help somebody else cope with their
hmm
thing, that they have going on in life. Just to kind of be like that person that's like, hey, you're not alone. I'm going through this too, right? Because that kind of almost makes us feel a little bit better when you know you're not the only person.
oh, it inspires us with hope, that
Right.
you say you are not the only one. Do you encourage like your students to write, or do you just focus on dance?
Um, I, yeah, yeah, actually, I do. I've had even students that have come my way that didn't even really like dance. And I was like, I love you, but like, why are you here? It's
Well,
like,
because their parents, probably it's kind of like my students, right?
yeah,
Oh, when is tutoring going to end? I don't like tutoring. And I would say, tell your parents, don't force you. And the parents like, you have no choice. You are going to see Miss Karen for tutoring. And then
yeah,
I just apologize and say, well, I always tell parents, don't force them, because
yeah,
then it's not a pleasant experience. So that's what probably happens, right? You are going.
because you're being
It's
forced to.
true. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, and I would tell them one time this one girl told me that she's like, because my mom's making me, blah, blah, blah. And I was like, you know what? And I was like, honestly, I feel for you. So I'm sorry that you have to be here when you don't want to because dance is not your thing. But
Mhm.
I was like, since you got to be here, let's just make the best of it so you don't have such a horrible time every time
Yes.
you
Yeah.
come. So she was like, okay. So when she saw that I kind of came to her with that, where I was like, I understand how you feel of having to do something you don't want to.
Hmm. Hmm.
Here, let me try and make it better for you. She actually responded a lot better and was way better in class. So I use those opportunities when I come across kids who are, just going through things. And I'll tell them, like, you don't have to just dance. You could draw. Do you like coloring? Do you like to draw? Maybe write? Do you write stories? Like things like that. Like I had one student who started her blog while like she was in class with me like throughout that year. She started her
Wow.
little blog, and she would tell stories. Like she would make up stories and just write them out. And I was like, send me your link. I want to support. And so I was like, yeah, keep writing, keep going. That's amazing. Like to any art form or anything like that, art writing is an art form. So anytime that I could get my, you know, get the attention of them and kind of like talk to them about exploring different art forms. Like, yeah, writing. I always, if you like writing stories, write stories or something, or write a little book. Like sometimes they would come to class with little books that they would actually make. Like, here, I want you to read my story. Tell me what you think.
Oh,
So yeah, like yeah, that's kind of like the role I've always taken. It was never just you're just a yoga teacher, you're just a dance teacher. It was like, I'm actually involved in what you're doing. I'm gonna ask you next week how last week's test was that you were telling me you were scared of. Things like that. Like, I try to stay involved like that, just to create that connection. That way I can help in some way or somehow to inspire them to find multiple outlets for them to stay in like a balanced state of mind.
you know what? And I just realized if parents took that role instead of I'm the parent, I rule
Yeah.
this household, you listen to what I say, and like you said before, it disconnects you. But
Yeah.
if you take that parent, it's almost like taking the parent hat off, or I'm calling it a like a parent revolution, right? We are just change. I think the pandemic has changed the way we parent, but it's driving a lot of parents and teachers and like aunts, uncles crazy because they don't know what to do with this annoying child, or they don't know how to, like, it's like, what do I do? Like you said, and you're stuck. Like during quarantine, a lot of parents are like, what the hell happened? What now? They appreciated teachers, and yet they didn't like, we never liked a lot of people complained about what was going on in the classroom, but when you had them 24/7, you, like any teacher, just go away, right? For at least 8 hours. But what would your suggestion be for parents to start reconnecting, because your child just knows you as, someone who lectures, someone who gives you scoldings or punishments, consequences. How do you evolve or almost like transform, because your child may be thinking like, because even my daughter's, oh, are you wait, why didn't she parent us like that? I'm like, because
Uh,
I didn't know any better.
yeah.
But any tips so that there's a lot of healing that has to be done, right? A lot
Yeah.
of parents unknowingly, and I was guilty of it.
So
I'm
much.
realizing that you can apologize no matter what, because this is what happens when they're adults. Remember when I was 10 years old and and sometimes you're like, wow, that one little interaction. Remember when you said, and I thought, wow, and I was 7. I remember we were in the car and you think, I
Yeah.
can't redo it.
Yeah.
But I've read that apologizing, no matter how many years, decades, all
It,
that person needs is to be heard, right?
yes.
Understood,
Yes.
not judged. And it takes setting your ego aside, right?
Yes.
Because at first you think, what?
Acknowledge.
Why are you and my 19-year-old always reminds me, don't minimize, right? Whatever they're going through,
Yes.
don't minimize, because
Yes.
this is my husband. When I was your age, I said, I know you walked 10,000 miles in the rain, whatever it was. In Maui, it's totally different. I was an only child, so I didn't have to walk 10,000 miles. My parents just drove me. So then you have two different parents.
Yeah.
And then one feels like you're enabling them. And then one feels like, well, I don't know, I don't like to walk, so I'll drive them. And then I'm realizing, okay, how do you prepare your child for adulthood without being mean, or without, you know what it is, putting on, like, if you, like when you have your students, how you shared about how your mom raised you, there's a part of you there's a part of you that remembers, wow, this is how it's done. But I think
Yes.
because, right, so you either change it or
Yeah.
you repeat.
Right.
You repeat what you've learned because that's all you know. And so a lot of the parents in my generation, their 50s, they're like, you know what? I turned out fine, but you know that I don't know about that, right? And
Exactly.
I was hit. My parents used, I don't know, in Hawaii it's like the rubber slipper, or ruler, whatever it is. But these kids lack discipline. These kids need to be taught who's boss. But then you know what happens? When they become adults, you're like, well, I haven't seen my grandchildren. I don't know why my son never calls me. And
You
my
want
daughter,
to know how you teach a kid that you're the boss? You have to get these kids to trust you. It's real simple.
It
You just
is. And you know what I've read, or and I realized if they lie, why just one of my the moms that I coach said asked this, how do I handle lying? Because I needed to stop. And the reason why kids lie is they don't feel safe to tell the truth. So
yes,
one of
that
my friends said she learned, she was physically and emotionally abused. So she learned to become a master manipulator, a master liar, because you don't want to get in trouble.
that
But
was
then
me.
the parent,
I'm great, great at lying. I'm a great liar. I can cry. I can do all of that.
yes, yes. Oh my gosh, I can't. And so I manipulated my mom who has Alzheimer's, and Japanese are really into like guilt. So I'm like, I made the doctor's appointment, and all I want you to do is go. Okay, I'll go. Thank you. And then one time, my daughter, I don't know, I think she was 21 at the time, just, oh my gosh, mom, I can't believe you did that to grandma. Because it was a fake cry, but it worked. And I said, you know what? If I ever have Alzheimer's, do whatever it takes for me to go to a funeral, to go to a doctor's appointment. You don't understand. It is manipulative. Yes, I admit it. But you're on survival mode. I need to get her, I'd be like, the doctor just called. We waited 6 months for this appointment. You cannot cancel. He's coming over, or we're going to go.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I just want you to go.
Yeah. It's trust. It really is. It's trust when I'm not a parent. Again, I'm not a parent, but like
But you know
one dance
what?
class. If we
Yes,
go to dance class, right? As me being a non-parent, just being
yes.
someone else, if I can get your kid to do whatever I say in that classroom, then you can most certainly do it too. Because I'm not spanking your kid, I'm not scolding your kid, I'm not yelling at your kid. Your kid trusts me. Your kid trusts everything I say. He or she feels very safe with me and knows that they're gonna be okay.
Yeah.
That's why they do whatever I say in the classroom. So I really believe that it's rooted in trust, discipline, all of that. It's rooted in trust. I also believe that just acknowledging that their life is not yours.
Ooh,
It's
that's a hard one, isn't it though? I was telling
it's
someone,
hard.
a grandma, I tell my girls, even if I don't agree with it, I want them to choose what they want. And the grandma was like, how am I going to say that? I'm not going to say that to them. And I thought, because
Yeah,
she says, you better do it this way or else. And I thought, even when they're 4, you know what? Do you want to get it? And I was like, I'm sure grandma doesn't mean it. No, no, I mean it. I mean it. You are not going to get, am I going to get blueberries and cream? You're not going to even eat. And I'm like, and he knows I'm serious. And he looks at me and I just think, is
you
there
as
a way to regain or reestablish one? So say you have like a 15-year-old and you did the whole thing that created an environment that promoted or that led to lies, right? Because parents just blame their kids. They don't realize that they created the environment,
right.
and they kind of, right? If
Yeah.
you have a child rolling their eyes, disrespecting and giving you attitude, I mean, not to point fingers, but we, as a child, I mean, we've all been there,
Yeah.
right? We've all been there, but we forget when you become a parent, you just think, you know what? I'm the parent, you're the child. Just do what I say and your life will be fine.
Yeah.
And it's that kind of message.
Yeah.
You think it's possible though to recreate? I mean, how do you
I
recreate
think
when the
anything's possible. Yeah, of course. I think I really do believe that anything is possible. Doesn't matter how old you are. You know that saying that goes, can't teach a old dog new tricks. I don't believe in that. I don't. I think that transformation is possible at any age.
I
So,
love that?
um, if you're having hmm, if you're having problems with a child lying to you, how do you recreate that? I think honestly, like talk therapy might probably be one of those things where you can have that space with that child to be vulnerable, you know, talking, really just talking and practicing non-judgment, when they make mistakes.
Well, because
we're
one of the moms said, I think he's going to start first grade. And she said, what kind of consequence, what kind of punishment? So we tried to, I explained about the punishment, which would foster more lying. And sometimes it's a natural consequence, because what happens is if a kid repeatedly lies, you can have that conversation. What do you think about saying, the boy who cried wolf story? And it
yeah.
is hard to trust, but it's possible to regain trust. But that's a very, it's a very, I don't know, hard
I mean, but a
environment.
lot of people to suffer the consequences, whatever the consequences are always going to be way more impactful in their
Than a
psyche
punishment, right?
else. Yeah, just allowing whatever, if just being that guide, just remembering that they came to this earth through you, but don't don't put yourself into their lives. Don't like insert yourself as like a dictator. Think of it more of like you are just their guide on this earth.
Yeah.
If you're going, if I go to another country, right, and I have no idea, nothing, no idea about the food, culture, language, nothing, right, and I get a guide to kind of take me around so I can explore this new country, right? Am I gonna be does the guy and just thinking about it now in traveling terms, when you're traveling and you get a guide, is the guide yelling at you all the time and
Yeah.
telling
You
you,
better try this food
you
right
just
now.
go down this road right now or you won't enjoy it?
And
So
don't
think
ever eat that. You want to eat that? No, no, no. You don't want to eat that.
so now we think about it. So would you enjoy that tour? No, you'd be like, give me a new
No.
guide. What is this? I don't want
Exactly.
this guide. Yeah. So if we try to transform our roles and just be like, you know what? This is a person who has never gone through this because this is their first experience on earth. First experience, okay? So they know nothing. So I'm not, I don't own them. They're not my slaves. I'm not their boss. I am just their guide, and I'm their teacher, and I'm their first and most important teacher on this earth.
Mm-hmm.
We'll have
Mm-hmm.
many teachers, but I will always be the first and the most important. So I'm just going to guide. This is what's going to happen if you do this. This is what's going to happen if you do not. Like, make your choice. But just know that whatever consequences, come up, with your choices, like that's just what it's going to be.
Yeah.
And guide them through that while they're going through that consequence. Guide them through that to not fear failure, or not
Yes.
necessarily. And when I say don't fear failure or don't fear the consequences, that doesn't mean encourage them to do stuff and be reckless. That
Yeah.
encourages, what I'm talking about is more of like, when you're going through something bad, instead of being like, this is horrific, this is horrible, my life is over, what I want you to do is look for the life lesson.
Yeah.
Where's the lesson here? Because once you go through that and you find that nugget, right, that life
Mm-hmm.
lesson, the aha, okay, this is what I learned. Now when you go through again and you go through the rest of your life or whatever, another moment, you will have that. Now that's your other tool. Like now you've equipped that child with yet another tool for them to fend themselves in this world. I'm
Without
talking.
punishing it, right? Without punishment. That's the thing. A lot of parents think that they do, because she was telling me, what do I punish this child, this 6 year old? And I said, it's natural consequences. So there's no punishment. I just let him lie. But it's not letting him lie. Like you said, I love that, like talk therapy and just get to the root. Like, why did he feel he had to lie?
Yeah.
And 9 out of 10 times, because I didn't want to get in trouble. I didn't want you to know that I fill in the blank, right?
Right. Right. It's for me, it's very, that subject is tricky for me because I came up with, being hit, and I wouldn't do that now because I understand better now how the mind works, just me growing up as a child and how I felt. So I wouldn't necessarily do that, but I also wouldn't necessarily like not impose some sort of a consequence. Instead of calling it a punishment, I would just call it like a consequence, like
Right.
maybe
That's
like you're on,
connected.
Right. You know, if you're on the phone for too long and then you stayed up too late and now you're tired, you know, like the consequences that you still have to go to school. Like, I'm not gonna let you sleep in, you know, like that's the consequence. So you gotta go. Like if you are, you know, you got, I don't know, you didn't do something that you were supposed to do, well, you know, now you're gonna have to do double the load because you
Mm-hmm.
just put that on yourself. Like I was watching a TikTok of a conscious mom. She does conscious parenting and she like shares a lot of tips and stuff. And one of the things she was saying is like, let's say your kid has to do dishes like every night or something. Like that's their job. They got to do the dishes and they didn't do them one day. So instead of being like, "Oh yeah, why don't you do the dishes?" Da, 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 just be like, "Dang, you missed that night. Now you're gonna have double the load on Tuesday. You know, like that's your consequence. Like now you got to do Mondays and Tuesdays dishes on Tuesday because you slacked that one time. You know, so just having those like this, just letting it happen, not protecting the kids so much. You know, I
Well,
think
that way
people
there's no lecturing. It's very matter of fact. You're just saying, oh, well, now you have to do, yeah.
like what it
And this,
is. Like I mean,
right, which is a very different energy than, you
yeah,
know what? Why didn't you clean your room? Why didn't you? And I think that's where when you're angry, you know how you're talking about it, when you're angry, the compassion and the, you know, I'm going to teach them a life lesson. I swear it just flies out the door and you know, you react. And in the midst of your reacting, you even say, I really shouldn't be doing this.
right, yeah,
But once your brain start, I just read that it's like 90 seconds. You have 90 seconds to just stop in the moment. After 90 seconds, it can last for hours, weeks, months, or years. I mean,
oh
you can
wow.
hang on to it. But that 90 seconds is so crucial. Then how many of us, after 2 minutes, you're like, oh, you know, you're like, oh, well, I got to say this. I can't, you know, it's like you're on that roller coaster and it's not like, okay, I'm going to stop. Uh, it's already the Pandora's box has opened. And you're like, you know what? I didn't want to say this, but blah, 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 blah.
Yeah, yeah. No, I think one of the things that people sometimes tend to forget is that kids are so intelligent. They are
Yes,
sponges. They're absorbing everything. So that's the moment when you want to be the guide and not the dictator,
I
because
love
that's the
that.
moment they're going to be picking up these like very important lessons, you know, when they're in their childhood. Like that's where you either uh get all of your trauma or all of your biggest like things when you're in
Wow.
childhood, because that's the most impressionable time of your life. You know,
Hmm,
that's when the
hmm.
brain is literally just like, give me information. So feed
Right.
them the information, even the consequences. Like let them go through it. Just again, be the guide. Be that guide to just be like, all right, here is what might potentially happen if you go this way or if you go that way. Make your choice, and you know, just whatever comes through, like you're just allow them to go through it. Because if you are constantly trying to protect the kid, then when they're adults, they're not gonna know what to do. They're
Well, I
not
think
gonna
that's what's happening, right? That's what
yeah,
we're seeing now because they've
yeah,
always been, you don't realize the coddling, but like moms were, you know, I've had moms charge their teenager cell phones or make sure that, I don't know, everything is done. And then they go to the dorm or they go on their own and they think, wait a minute,
what do
what
I
do
do?
I do? You know, what cell phone plan do I buy or what, you know, what do I do with my child? You become a mother
Yeah,
and you have no idea because I have one last question. So, because a lot of people ask me about academics,
mhm.
um, if your child happens to fail, I have a lot of, you know, parents who say, you know what, you are not failing. In fact, you're not even going to get a D. You know, you need to focus, do your work, and just do it. And then the child, of course, yes, I turn it in. Yes, I turn it in. Yes, I turn it in. Nothing gets turned in. So I had one student with 48 missing assignments.
Ooh,
And then the teacher actually said, you know what, during Christmas break, I will give you a second chance. And the mom's like, oh my gosh, this is a blessing. And he says, during my break? So you're telling me to do 40 assignments during my break? And she says, this is a second chance. This is a huge, huge gift. So you're going to do it. And he says, no, I would rather just have a fresh start, get the F, and yeah, I'm going to have a fresh start. And she's like, wait, what? And then, of course, a lot of, and then I guess what can you do? I tried to coax him, tried to tutor him. Then I realized, you know what? Then it became my stress because I felt like I had to make sure that these assignments were done. Then I finally had to pull away because I
Okay.
became like on the mom's side. And I pulled away and I said, you know what? We cannot force this. And if he fails because I had to learn that. When my daughter failed and I saw that D, I saw that F, oh my gosh, I was reading The Gift of Failure, Embrace Failure. I mean, everything I could get my hands on. And in the back of my mind, though, I was trained. I did extra credit. And how you were talking about in your French class, you tried because I loved the feeling of getting an A. And then you realize, guess what? That is not something that your child inherits. A lot of times, I'm fine with the D. I'm fine with the F because it's not important to me. I want to enjoy my break, or I want to, right? Boys have told me I would rather do video games. So I
Right.
tell dads it's like the Super Bowl, and then I say it's just a football game. Turn the game off and do something productive. And then it's a different, you know what I mean? So what would you
So,
say to a parent, who says I cannot allow my child to not strive for to learn the work ethic in their head? They really believe they're teaching the value of a work ethic, and then it becomes like serious, resentment on both sides.
yeah. So I'm going to make an observation just based on what I'm hearing. It sounds like the reason why he's probably not motivated is because she's probably doing a lot for him on a daily basis. To me, it sounds like he's kind of like spoon fed everything. She just said, right, what you just said. I end up taking over on the stresses. I'm stressed now. I feel like I got to get it done. So she's taking that burden that should be on him, and she takes it and carries everything. It's like, here, what other burden you got? Give it to me. Boom, boom. So they're walking together through life, and she's doing all of this, and he's walking like this. That's what it sounds
Wow.
like to me. So mentally, psychologically, that could be why he's like, I don't care, because if I don't carry it, guess who will carry it? And I'm never going to have to think about it again. So I don't care. That's what it sounds like to me. So I agree that allowing him to get that F and seeing how that affects him later on in life is what he needs. And don't carry anything for him. Continue to guide him and let him know what the expectations are, right? Like this is what you got to be working on. Um but then just let him catch those Fs.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Um I
And
don't
it's not the end of the world, right? I think that's what I realized. I realized when I saw that D or F, it's like, wait, what does it mean to me? And
yeah.
as a parent, you believe, and it's not very true that you believe I failed as a parent because I couldn't motivate my child. I'm an educator. Oh my
Yeah.
gosh, I can't even motivate and educate. I would force her. We're gonna do this math. You're 30 assignments behind. It's Saturday night, 5 hours. And my husband would be like, step away. And she'd be like, am I done yet? Am I done yet? I'm like, no, I'm teaching you perseverance. And we're going to be doing this. And it killed me
Yeah.
because
I
I
mean,
thought, what does that do?
I'll relay like an experience, just be again being a dance teacher in a classroom.
Uh huh.
One of the ways that I got kids to be accountable for themselves is I always told them, I was like, you guys are going on stage. I'm not going on stage. You're going on stage. Like you're gonna dance this in front of your parents and all your friends and stuff like that. I'm not. I'm gonna be behind the wings doing this. Okay. So I'm like, it's really up to you. Do you want to go on stage and look like crap? I mean, that's up to you. That's not up to me. I'm not gonna look bad. You're gonna, if you don't know the dance, that's on you. It's not on me. I know the dance. Do you know the dance? But at the same time, after saying that, then I would lead by example. If we're in class and I want them to work hard, I'm working hard with them. If you're sweating, I'm sweating. I'm not gonna sit there and dictate from the background and no, all right, let's work together. Come on, let's do it. We're working together. I'm gonna work right there with you. But at the end of the day, just know that I'm not going on stage. It's you, So it's, again, it's like I'll be here as the example. I'm going to be motivated. I'm going to do my own thing. I'm going to let you know where you need to be at. Again, I will explain to you what the options are. What are the consequences of getting good grades, and what are the consequences of not getting good grades? But after that, that work is on you. If you need help, you have to talk to me. And again, opening up those lines of communication for them to trust you, to be like, I'm really having this issue where, like, I really don't want to do this homework. Like, I just want to play this game, And then from there, if you have that if you have that level of trust, then you can go in and go deeper and help. Like, okay, well, why are you so stuck on these video games? Is there something that's happening to you that you're trying to block out? A lot of times, kids that get so stuck on social media or video games and stuff like that, a lot of the times it could be because they're trying to escape
I was
reality.
gonna say escape. Well, I talked to a 14-year-old and a 16-year-old, and they said the high that they get when they accomplish a mission, in the
Yeah.
video game, whatever it is, and they said it's such a sense of accomplishment that they can't even transfer it to grades. Now, with parents, it's hard. Like, when you're a dance teacher, the material. 9 out of 10 parents don't know the material. They feel helpless. They tell their child to talk to the teacher, arrange office hours. And when it doesn't, that's where, come on, did you make the appointment? Did you make the appointment? So do we just like say, what? If they contact the teacher for help, great. If they don't, then
Stay
it's
with
natural
them and do it.
consequences.
Stay,
Natural consequences.
no, I would say stay with them and do it. Like I
No, but
was
if you
just
don't know how, like if it's calculus, if it's like some of my parents
no,
don't
no,
know
I
how,
didn't mean that. What I meant was like how when I was relaying that example of like, okay, we're gonna work in class, like I'm gonna work
yeah,
with you type deal.
yeah,
So if they need to make an appointment because you don't know the material, be like, all right, we're making this appointment right now, but you're gonna do it, and you stay with them. Here's the number, dial. This is what you say, blah blah blah. Here, we'll put you on speaker. Let them talk, because that gives them confidence. When you make a kid do something by themselves, even if they f it up, and
yeah,
you
yeah,
make them do it themselves, but you're right there. That's actually a boost of confidence that you're giving them, because the more independent you can make them feel, like, hey, you can do this, the
yeah,
more they will rise to the
yeah.
occasion, no matter what it is. So just stay there and be like, all right, let's figure out this number. Who do you need to contact for a tutor? Okay, this place. All right, boom, find the number. Okay, here's the number. Okay, let's call speaker. Go ahead, tell
Yeah,
them.
my daughter was so nervous that she would write it out. Like, I don't know,
Perfect.
make an appointment with a chiropractor. Hi, this is,
Yeah, whatever makes them
can I
feel
make an
comfortable.
appointment? And so
Hey,
even
okay,
today, yeah, yeah,
yeah,
or she'll write out her Starbucks order because she's too
yeah.
shy, and now she's like, okay, I want this, and this, and this. But I know adults who are afraid to make a doctor's appointment, or afraid, like if you've always been like my husband always does it, and then you become divorced, and then you think,
Oh my
I don't
god.
want to make an appointment. I don't want to.
Yeah.
Then it's like a child parent thing. What? I have to find a way to change my oil, or what? I have to fill in the blank. But
I
you're
think
right.
story is just be a guide. Just be a guide.
Yes.
This is what you got to do, but I'm not doing it for you. I'll just be right here for you. Like if you get stuck or something, I'm here for you, but you have to do this by yourself. And you have to keep trying until you
When
get
I
it right.
love what you just said, yeah, do it by yourself, because because I'm a tutor. Can you edit this? And I finally realized I can't look at it, because once I look at it, I'm gonna automatically like rewrite it. So she
Yeah.
would say, "Can you just read it?" And I finally, in her senior year, I said, "You know what? I'm sorry. I'm not gonna read it. Turn it in. I guess I'm gonna get an F on it." And that was my trigger. What? Give that to
Okay.
me. Yeah. Then I finally had to say, you know what? Turn it in. Because then she'd be like, "Oh, I thought I was gonna get an F. What'd you get?" I got an A or a B or whatever. And I'm like, and you did it on your own, which, like you said,
Yeah.
it boosts their self-esteem. And then I was kind of like, wait, okay, yeah, I can let go. I think a lot of parents, you know what it is? They don't trust the
They don't
entire
trust
thing. And they,
themselves.
yeah, I had a mom, I went to New York, I was telling you earlier, with my 10-year-old, and they said, oh my gosh, I could not leave my family at all. The house would fall apart. And I
Uh,
felt guilty because I went to this trip to Korea, just me and my girlfriend, and 4 days. And then I thought, should I not have gone? Because you question it, like, you left? And I was like, yeah. And then you realize you need to, like you said, you need to make others accountable,
for their
even
own.
if they're 7. Yeah, even if they're little. I've had friends who taught their 7-year-olds to do the laundry, or their 5-year-old and they make their own peanut butter jelly sandwich. Then you have other people who have 17-year-olds and like, okay, here's your omelet, here's your this, here's your that.
Do you know how powerful kids feel when they feel like they can do something? What's one of the
Yes.
things you tell kids? What's one of the things that you tell kids when they're getting older, when they're like, are you a baby or are you a little girl, right? Or are you a,
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
like,
yeah.
you see how proud they feel? And they're like, I'm a big boy.
Yeah, exactly.
It gives them power because that to them is like I just unlocked a level of independence. I'm a big boy, so I can eat
Yes.
with my spoon, that type of stuff. So you got to keep that going as they're getting older. Keep giving them that confidence that, yo, you can do it. Like, yes, you can write that paper, like you can. And if they make a mistake, again, let's look for the life lesson instead of being like, oh my god, just being
Yeah.
more of like, all right, let's say you got an F on this paper. Let's look at it. Let's see where the errors are. Like, oh, okay. Oh, you didn't put this comma here. Okay. Oh, you wrote this. Okay, the sentence should have been that way. Okay. And actually really going through so they can see, like, oh, that's where okay, that's why I got that F. Boom. Okay, so now next time that commas go here, that the sentence, blah, blah, blah. Okay, next paper. Let's try and apply these corrections, what we just learned, put that on the next paper. Even if you have to hold the paper that had the F like next to it just to make sure you don't make the same mistakes, do something like that, but just make them process things on their own.
Right. Without criticism, right? Without
Yes.
criticism, because that's the
Without
hard part.
criticism, yeah, non-judgment, and just being compassionate because again, this is their first experience on earth.
Yes.
This is their first time
Someone
on
just said
earth.
that, that they told their child, this is the first time I parented a 14-year-old. And the next year was the first time I'm parenting,
Okay,
16-year-olds. So instead of saying, I know it, listen to me,
right.
so you don't make mistakes, or so you don't regret, or you don't, and what you're saying is allow them to make mistakes, because don't you turn into an adult who also fears making mistakes if you're
Yes,
constantly
yes, yes,
saved?
yes. Allow them to see you making mistakes. Because again, kids are sponges. They're absorbing everything that you're saying and doing and feeling,
Yes.
everything. They're absorbing all of that. So if they see you in those moments and you can explain to them age appropriately what's happening and not lie to them, then you're also teaching them how to get out of it. So when they're
Mm-hmm,
older,
mm-hmm.
now they're like, I saw my mom go through divorce and I saw how tough it was. And she worked hard and this and that and blah, blah, blah. But she got through it and she did this and she did that. So now I know that if that ever happens to me, I know I have a reliable source to go back to if I need any sort of guidance because it's trustworthy. Why? Because it's genuine and to them it's true. Whatever they're
Yeah.
seeing is true. So if you show them the truth, like your truth, whatever that is, that to them becomes a credible source. Now they're going to listen to you more. They're going to trust you more. They're going to respect you more because they're not seeing that you are saying, don't eat candies and then you're off sneaking M&Ms into your mouth. Like,
Exactly. Which
you
just
know what
happens,
I'm saying?
right? Yeah.
Yeah, just be real. Just be real. Bad, good, and ugly. Be real because they're watching you. Again, you are the first and most important teacher in the entire world for this kid. So just be you. Just show them what happens when you make a mistake. Like, yeah, I made
Hmm.
a mistake. I messed it up. Now I got to face the consequences. These are my consequences. I got to deal with.
Right, right. So that you don't seem perfect because then your
Yeah,
child thinks, oh my gosh, I have to
I'm
be
not
like
perfect.
mom.
So
I have to,
I can't
yeah.
tell you that I'm not being perfect because
Yes. Well,
then
because they don't want to
I'm
be
not
they don't want to be
yeah.
lectured or scolded or wait, what? Because I see moms, what? You had an 89? What happened? And you think,
But I will say this though, parenting humans is extremely hard. It's extremely hard. It's that's probably the toughest job on the world, like in the world. Parenting and guiding a brand new human being.
but I have to tell you, Miss G, I mean, you're not a parent, but I think you parented your students, and I think you've been there. So this is why I'm learning that you don't have to be a parent to know what it's like. If you like you decades, right? From if you're like age 1.5 and you've interacted with kids and you've learned how it's like you were a parent in the classroom in your
Yeah.
dance environment.
Oh yeah. I see them as my two. I'm like, for this house,
Yes.
y'all are my kids. All of y'all.
And your nieces, nephews, I mean, you've been there, and that is probably why you're like, wait a minute, no, 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 I don't want to do this like full time. I'll do it on a on my time.
Seasonal.
Well, because you have how many nieces and nephews? You said
I
you
have like
had
13. Yeah, 13. 13, yeah.
what age range?
Um, I want to say like toddler all the way to like grown adult, like close to my age. There's one that's because it's 3.5. I became an aunt at
Oh,
three and a
that's
half.
right. That's
My
right.
oldest nephew is like 3 years apart from me. He's 3 years younger than me.
So you are an honorary mom. I'm so glad that we met through Voice America. Yeah, we I just met her a few weeks ago, and I thought I need to interview you because when you shared your story, oh well, and real quick, I didn't you didn't share. I don't know if you can do like a little snapshot version of what started dearhusband.org and how that healed you because I think people don't realize personal letters, even if someone passed, even though, because sometimes, like I know moms who are no longer communicating with their, there's what is it called? Parental alienation,
Oh,
which is a real thing now, where grown up kids are like, you know what, you're out of my life. It's kind of like divorcing your parents. And the parent feels totally like a failure. They don't get to see their grandkids. They don't. This one woman on TikTok has been 3.5 years. And I didn't know her story until she did some kind of like, it's been 3.5 years. I haven't communicated with my kids, and parental alienation is real. And I thought, parental
I've
alienation.
experienced it. I did it to my parents a few times.
So, what causes it? And how did writing your secret blog? I mean, I think it's a great way to heal, but these some people are, I'm just not a writer, and it's nothing to do with writing skills.
Yeah. No, not at all. Not at all.
So how did writing help you heal? And what, if you don't mind sharing, usually there's something, right? Something, you don't have to share the details, but something happens in you that you think, I don't want to talk to you anymore. Actually, you know what? I did do that to my dad for a year. I didn't let him see my 25-year-old. She was 3, and it's all because he said you were late. And I'm like, I went to a graduation party. I was 10 minutes late, but my dad was in the military, and I said, you know what? You're not seeing her. And my mom's crying. And then I thought, what did I do? My sitter. I called my friend. I'm like, can you take her to the YMCA tomorrow? But I didn't. I don't know what it was. But no, it was that. But I don't know how we made up. Probably I realized I need them. I need
Yeah.
them in my life. But no matter how old you are as an adult, were you an adult or were you?
Yeah. No. I mean, throughout like my adolescence. So I want to say like teen years to now. To now.
Oh, teen years.
And now I cut them off. Yeah, I cut my mom. The first time I cut my mom off was brief. It was in my senior year of high school. It was a brief cutoff. I wasn't even living with her. I was on my own at 17. We're having a lot of problems. And So that was the first time. But then eventually, like, we had to come back into communication. So we did, and then we were okay. But then when I moved again, it was like maybe like 20 or something like that. Um, Again, she was cut off for like, I don't know, maybe like a year or two. We just didn't talk. And then my dad has always been like super tumultuous relationship with him. So I really don't have a good relationship with him. We're just now starting to build. We're just texting on WhatsApp.
Hmm.
But the last time I had spoken to him before like talking to him now was probably like 2014, 2015. And then I was like, you're cut, I was like, that's it, so I have experience doing that, but I'm also in that process of healing where I'm like realizing, okay, you know what, everybody has a story. So I'm blaming them for being horrible parents, but it's like they had horrible parents, so they don't know certain things that I needed. They don't know how to recognize that I needed, or they didn't know how to express certain things, and this is why. So I now that it's helping me heal, because I'm understanding that, I feel bad for them. So I'm like, I can't be mad at you when you were abused as a child, like, and then I'm expecting you to be my protector. You have no idea what that's like because no one ever protected you,
So it's
you know
compassion,
right.
compassion with
So that's
and then men
helping me
healing.
now, yeah, to foster a better relationship with them because I'm understanding these things now. So I mean that's I guess that's the
It
story.
makes sense. It makes sense. And then what about dearhusband.org? How was that
So
healing?
okay, so dearhusband.org was started because I was going through a divorce. We were like separated at the time, but we were very toxic to each other, and he knew that one of the things that would really get under my skin is just to be ignored, because I've always had I guess like an issue with not feeling heard.
Hmm.
So it was like that was an instant trigger. So when I was trying to text with him about simple tasks that we need to kind of like handle so that we can split, he would just leave me on red. So that would trigger a bunch of like stuff, anxiety. I would start going into rages. I mean, get destructive, like horrible stuff that I would be doing. So at that time, I started surrounding myself with people who are a little more level headed, who were more like just trying to talk me through the process of getting a hold of my emotions and things like that. So that's when I was like, you know what? I'm going to expose him, but not really. Like, I'm going to write this blog. I'm just going to write him letters and I'm going to make a blog out of it. And if somebody finds it, oh well. But I'm just going to write, and I'm going to write everything that I really want to say to him instead of saying it to him, because it's, um, it's gonna be, I don't know, like I felt like to some degree like I would try to express myself with him, but because I was so angry, it would come
Hmm.
out so horrible. Like it would be like me saying really bad stuff. So I was like, I want to try a different route. So I started that, and I started writing him letters. And after I went through like my healing and things, I still didn't feel all the way healed, but I was already feeling more empowered. I stopped writing, and I still held on to the domain and everything. So I was like, all right, well, what am I gonna do with this? Am I just gonna like leave it up?
Did
Like what?
did you sorry to interrupt you. Did you send him the did he read it? Oh, so it purely was self-healing and just writing what you needed to say without him actually reading it.
What I did do was I choreographed a 10-minute performance
Wow.
about that whole thing
Is
that
that
happened.
on it?
It's I have it on Vimeo. It's on YouTube, but because of the music, it got copyrighted, so I think
Uh-huh.
it did. But I do have it up on Vimeo. It's a 10-minute performance
Oh, I want to see
where I
that.
have music. I'll send you the link, but
Yeah.
it's a like music on top of me. Like I wrote, like I started writing my thoughts and stuff, and then my friend helped me to like put it together so it sounded more artistic and stuff. So and then I recorded it over the audio, so it's like me dancing and telling you the story of what happened.
Wow.
Yeah. So, and he saw that performance because I posted it somewhere and I saw him, he commented on it and he put like a thumbs up. So I know he saw it. But that was the only thing he ever saw of like me expressing. So he never saw the blog.
So
So
are you
I
cordial, or was that like a, or is a cordial split, or is there a?
well, yes and no. Like he was talking to me up until he started dating somebody, and then mad like he just kind of stopped talking to me for years. And then recently, now whenever I see him, I feel like if he's forced to say hello, he'll come and say
Oh,
hello.
you actually bump into each other?
Yeah, because we're both dancers, so we're both in the same dance community.
Oh my
And it's a
gosh.
global dance community. Like the global dance community is very small. So like we all know each other. Even people from like Russia or wherever, like everybody
So they
kind of
know your story. They know the story.
not
I mean, not
everybody.
the story. They know that you were together and then,
I mean, yeah, most of the people, but some people like now, like the new generation of dancers
yeah.
coming up, they don't know.
Wow.
So yeah, but yeah, so I still have to bump into him. So now he's like more cordial where he's saying hello to me, but I don't press it. Like I don't try to talk to him or anything like that. But yeah, so then I moved on to I let that domain go because I was like I don't want to. I wanted to do something with it with that blog, but then the guy I was dating at the time, he was like, but you should change the name because you're not even writing to your husband, you're past that.
That's true.
Weird.
That's
He's like,
true.
that's weird now, like what are you
It's
gonna
not
do?
even dear ex-husband, it's dear husband.
Right. So like so he was like, I think you should just he's like change it. Just change it. That way it's like fresh, new energy, new
Yeah.
content, new stuff. So I was like, all right. So as I came up with Dear Life Traveler, because I believe that we're all travelers. We travel through life, you know, like going through all these things in life that just molds us or makes us break away from the path or go down this way, go down that way. You know, we're all travelers. So um, dear life travelers like me, writing an open letter to everyone of like all this stuff that I've picked up on the way through my journey. So yeah, that was the little quick.
Wow. Thank you. Thank you so much. I mean, you are such an old soul. I think you probably had to go through, at the time you're like, why the hell am I struggling? And then you realize, I mean, you're so young. Yeah, she's 20 years younger than me. And I think you've learned, I mean, thank you so much for all of this time. Normally I do like a 20-minute, but I could not stop, like, just hearing what you've had to say, and just that dear thief, short. And you just showed that you don't have to write like a one-page letter. I mean, these things can be so short and so
Yeah,
healing.
yeah,
So healing, don't you think?
yes, for sure.
And
Find an
movement. Yeah,
yeah,
find an outlet.
find it. I always tell people find something that you're interested in, but there's a reason why, arts exists. That part of the brain is in all of us, that creative part of the brain. So like tap into that. Don't be so stuck on your day to day, or just doing what society tells you to do, right? Like find that creative part of you, and then find something in there that you might be interested in to use as an outlet for you
Well,
to
and I always thought that I did not have the right brain because I was so into writing and like just academics. And then recently I got into acrylic painting, and I never, ever in a million years would have
yeah,
even thought that I could even do it. And then you realize, these little YouTube videos, you're like, oh, you just get scrunched up foil and you do this, or you get a sponge, you do this, and you think, maybe I can. But then, when you share it, you're kind of like, okay, it's not going to matter. It's not going to matter. And then when because it's part of my, I'm doing a children's book with my daughter, and I thought, okay, I'm going to be fine no matter what is said. And that's the part, right? You always fear judgment.
hmm no,
And then
don't
you realize, yeah,
do it for other people, do it for you. It's
yes,
cliche, everybody says that, and it's easier said than done, but honestly, when you just do it for you,
yeah.
it turns into something else.
And it's so healing just to do something and you think, wow. And isn't it amazing? Like, I'm sure this is with you with dance, like an hour can go by and you think, oh my gosh,
Yeah, I'm
felt
like,
like
oh,
10 minutes.
a whole hour, yeah. Yeah.
Well, thank you so much, Miss G. So are you Miss G or Lady X? Miss G.
Yeah, I'm mainly Miss G. Lady X is just my writing alias, just when I'm writing. But if it's just me being an artist, like I am Miss G.
I love that. I'm Mrs. G then. Well, thank you so much. I will send you the link to this, and I really, really appreciate it. And you have a great rest of the day.
You too. Thank you
Okay.
so much for having me.
Thanks. Okay. Bye.